Hey Therese,
Hey David, how are you?
I am good. So nice to see you
Great to see you.
on this beautiful spring day.
It is.
H-
Ready
How,
for spring.
how does your outlook change when the spring hits?
Oh, it just opens you right up, right? It's just wonderful to not wear the coat and yeah, new life budding, all the flowers coming up and the birds chirping. Yeah, I love it. It's full of hope.
Is there anything you like to do in the spring?
I like to plant flowers in my boxes after Memorial Day. Yeah, just get outside. I love to walk. Love walking. So find places to walk the dog. Yeah, just be outside a lot more.
Have you always enjoyed walking?
Yeah, I think so. I like to be active. So I do a lot of things. I hate sitting around. I don't do that real well unless I'm tired. But yeah, I like to explore and just get out and about.
I love to walk. It's one of my favorite things to do. How does walking help you in the rest of your life? Not just the moments when you're out there, but what else do you kind of gain from having those experiences?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I do is I let my mind kind of wander. And a lot of times I'm just having epiphanies or I'm thinking thoughts that I wouldn't be thinking if I was not walking. I know that, right? So it's your body's moving and I find that it's a wonderful time. It's me time to let my brain do what it does. And yeah, it gives you the space to just be. I think that's why I love walking.
Space is important, and it's harder and harder to find today.
It is.
How do you, compared to 20 years ago, when you think about space and the space you might have had then compared to now, like what does that bring up in you?
Oh, wow. So let's see. Well, I was not living in a place with a lot of space. Just in my life, in my mindset. I was working as a financial advisor at the time, I believe. And yeah, just, full court press, pounding it out, drumming up business. And that's kind of was my focus. It was my social life. It was my career kind of all just blended together. But I wasn't really mindful. I would definitely say that. I wasn't mindful. And I wasn't conscious of creating space. I didn't. I was back to back all the time, right? With whatever I was doing, not a lot of intentional space creation going on then. And now my life is totally different. I work for myself and I'm ever more aware of how much space I need for my mental health and just my thinking clearly. I just my brain has been just overtaxed, I think, and just giving myself space for my mind to relax and my body, but my mind to relax so that I can be. We're not human doings, we're human beings, right? So yeah, definitely way more mindful. I do yoga, I just sit, I journal, I meditate. I have quiet time, which that would have driven me nuts, I think, 20 years ago. But
I'm also a big yogi. I love yoga so much.
Yeah.
And so that the mindfulness of not being mindful and being mindful now, I can also resonate with that experience. There was most of my life where I certainly wasn't aware or conscious of being mindful, but the change in my life from understanding what is possible with neuroplasticity and meditation and really understanding yourself in those ways is just is exponentially better as an experience. Do you find that?
Exponentially is a great word because yes, it takes your whole consciousness to another place. And I think we walk around largely unconscious. Our subconscious is running our lives for the most part. 95% of our brain is the subconscious, and we don't even know what's driving us, but we're in patterns. And so to be intentional requires thought and grounding. And you got to create space for that. It doesn't just happen on its own.
And practice. I mean,
yes.
For me, you don't just decide I'm going to be mindful or I'm going to meditate or I'm going to do this. You say that I want to do that. I want to be there, and it's step by step. And so, can you talk a bit about your journey from being a person who didn't understand that, had no space, wasn't kind of working on that, to now where I'm sure you have a lot of control over where you are at any moment.
I do. So, yeah, I went through a big career shift, and I've done that a couple of times in my life, but from financial advising, I'd been in it about 20 years, and I got burned out, and I got further and further from the clients, just with the more progress and upward mobility, if you will. I just became more removed from the relationships, and that just completely drains me, because I thrive on people, and I'm an extrovert. I get energized by it. If my life doesn't have connection, it's very depressing. It's kind of meaningless in a way. I've got to have that. So anyway, that and just pushing, and COVID came, and I had a real, a lot of people did, right? They had this existential crisis, and I just said, what am I doing with my life? And I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled, and I wasn't getting any younger. And I said, you know what? I'm done with this chapter in my career, and I need to find what is next for me that I'm passionate about and that I really love and will have a whole new way of being. I knew it had to be really different, and that I had to get out of that really stressful, production-based way of thinking and living all the time, right? So I after a lot of research and talking to people and reading books, and I did this deep dive into my values, and my what the skills that I had, or what I was really good at, what really lit me up when I did it, I look back on my days as a trainer and salesperson, and I just loved the one-to-one, and just this is before financial advising. And I just knew that I was really happy. I was really energized. I felt free. I feel like I could just be myself and didn't have to be a certain way, which is how I felt like I was in a couple corporate careers that I did. So and then just, I'm a service person. I like to give, I like to help. Like, that's very satisfying for me. And so all of those things intersected, and I decided to become a coach. So I became certified as a leadership and life coach eventually, to do both, where I'm looking at the whole person, right? You're coaching a whole person. It's not just their career or their business or whatever, because we are multidimensional people. And in doing that, in becoming trained, and I went through a metamorphosis of my own, right? And understanding all the things that you have to go through it yourself to truly be able to be a good coach. But in that, I became very aware of all of my patterns that I'd been in, and how none of them made me happy, right? Just the drive to achieve, and instead of enjoying, right, where you are and really enjoying the present. So yeah, I love what I do. I know it's my calling, and it allows me to be who I am and not be in this constant, this something that feels forced, right? It feels very natural and organic. It doesn't feel like I have to be something I'm not innately. And that was the real thing for me, was realizing that and arriving at that place and saying, this is how I want to live. This is it,
No doubt. And so even once you had kind of worked that out and decided it, I'm sure it still took some time to kind of actually make it a reality, right? To kind of, as you say, to train to do
Oh,
this,
yeah.
to the leadership coach, to train to be the life coach. Like those things don't happen overnight. So it was like a real dedication to kind of really changing your life. And I'm sure that was very difficult in a lot of ways. And can you speak to that a bit? Because, you know, often people think, I wish I could change my life. I want to change my career. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. And by gosh, it would be so great if they did it. But there's a lot of fear in that. And
Yes,
so
there is.
just talk about that a bit, because, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that is huge. So I think most people live by circumstance. They kind of look at what is happening around them for permission to do what they want to do, or they just don't think they can do it. And a lot of people feel trapped or stuck or whatever. And sometimes they just think that's their lot in life, you know. Well, what else am I going to do? And what I love to help people with is actually imagining, like, and creating the life that they want to live, and to start from there, not to start from where they are, but to start from this place where it would just light them up. They would, if they could just wave a magic wand, if, you know, time and money were no object, what would you love to be doing? Who would you love to be doing it with? Where would you like to be? You know, all those things, they don't just happen. We don't just happen upon it. I mean, it might look like some people do, but you can create that. You can create any kind of life that you want to create. And, you know, you're talking about neuroplasticity and, you know, exponential, that word, you know, you can make quantum leaps in where you're at to another place entirely when you learn to harness your thoughts, and you create a really specific design, and you're envisioning that. And it seems miraculous. It seems like that might be far-fetched, like you can be in a totally different zip code in your life, like I am right now. But even, you know, more people can shift their realities a lot more easily and faster than they think, because I think they just live going about it all wrong. So life, the way it's being lived, a lot of times can be hard, and it's hard for a reason. And it doesn't have to be hard. It can be that flow feeling. And so to help people really, you know, usually it's some kind of pain or some kind of vision that is pushing anybody to get coached or change their life, you know. But we don't have to be in this crisis to change our life, right? But we might just want a better life and know that there's a lot of unlived life in our life, and that we're here to blossom and, you know, be all that we're supposed to be, right, on this planet. Why are we here, right? What are you doing? Do you want to, what is meaningful? Every person has a different measuring stick or idea of what success looks like. It's not monetary success necessarily, but and so looking at, is your life really aligned with that? Are you even allowing yourself to think other things? You know, and the point is, you can create that life, and there is definitely, you can definitely do it. You can definitely create anything. You have to have that desire and that fire, right, to do it, and having a system that works. And it's not just a to-do list and checking stuff off. It's not your traditional, you know, here's my planner. No, it's not exactly like that. And it's a transformative process along the way. But if we want to change our external reality, we must change internally. There will be zero change without change internally. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how good your plan is. If you are not evolving into this person that can think that way, this person doesn't think that way right now, right? They're not you're not aware of all that you can have or do or be. And so it's really exciting to watch somebody notice their thoughts, notice where they're stopping themselves, notice how they're allowing circumstances to really dictate their reality when it's really not, it's not about that at all. And when people can understand that, they can do anything, you know, and it's free. It's freedom. It's total freedom. You know, it doesn't matter what's going on. You know where you're going and what you're doing, and we create our reality with our thoughts and our actions, but they begin with our thoughts. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all that. I mean, I agree. I mean, in order to change your life, you need to change your life. Right, that's like you mentioned patterns before, and we think about habits. And if someone is floating through life thinking, "I wish things were different," but never doing anything different, never trying something new, never meeting new people, never exploring different ideas or whatever it might be, your life will never change.
Correct.
You have to take action. And that action doesn't have to be big grand things all at once or right away. It can be the incremental pieces, and mindfulness is a great teacher of that. And I would argue, for me, yoga has been one of my greatest teachers of incremental growth. Like kind of that, you know, the philosophy behind Q, the learn from every moment, certainly was inspired partly by yoga. And this kind of, every time you show up on the mat, you're doing some similar poses you've done before, but your body is in a different place, and what it's possible of, and at the same time what your mind is capable of in that situation to help you navigate the discomfort and the growth that you go through in those moments. It's how I think about life. You know, it really is. It's paying attention to, as you say, the things that are coming up and the things that are pushing you to do one thing or another, or not do one thing or another.
Right.
So yeah, there are a lot of people who don't see it, and I certainly was one of them for a long time. It took me a lot of working out to get there. So if you were talk to someone who had no idea about mindfulness and meditation and this kind of stuff, like, where would you think would be a good place for them to start?
Well, you know, when I talk to people, I talk to them about what do you love most about your life right now, right? What do you love? And then what would you change if you could, right? What would you really love in this section that isn't particularly to your liking, right? And then I just kind of get an idea of, I would take them through, like, I would just ask them why they think that is, right? And I get people to, I really teach, I really educate on how results are created. But in terms of mindfulness and all of that, I think starting with, you know, we create our reality with our thoughts. Our thoughts create our emotions. Whatever emotions we're experiencing comes from the thoughts that we're thinking. And a lot of people think, well, no, this happened and that made me upset. Well, it's how you're thinking about that, right? It's how you reacted to that, how you're interpreting it. And then you're going to either act or react or not based on that emotion. And then that action, as you were saying, you know, nothing happens. You can't just think yourself into a new place. You've got to take that aligned action. So understanding, having people truly understand that is how results are created, and they begin with our thoughts. And so if our thoughts are not, if they're not moving us towards our goal, our vision, we need to rejigger those thoughts. And so noticing what you're noticing, I've got this like mindset exercise, and it's just interesting to identify patterns of thinking, and then recognizing that, you know, noticing your thoughts, being able to, and we have the capacity, we can sit here You can notice your feet on the floor. You can notice how the air feels, on your skin. You can put your attention anywhere on your body. So you can put your attention on your thoughts. And when you start doing that, I think that's the first step towards becoming mindful. Like, well, gee, that's funny. I was just thinking that. Why was I thinking that? And a lot of times it's simply a habit, right? It's that neural pathway. So noticing what you're noticing your thoughts, and then noticing how you can repattern a thought into something different. But to give yourself that relaxation time, that space, as we started to talk about in the beginning, when we're just being and we're not doing, sometimes we get more in touch with who we really are, right? Because I believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. There's more going on than just what we see here. And, we're all sharing in this human experience. But we're much more than that, and we can create a lot of things. And, look what you're doing. And we can do things for ourselves. We can do things for others. We can do things for the world. I mean, so when you're more mindful, I think your consciousness just takes you to another place, right? It's not all about you. It's not all about what you're doing and your needs being satisfied, but it also comes to like a greater good, right? How you're a force for good in the world, how you are lifting others, what does your presence mean in a room, right? When you walk in a room, what are you bringing to that room? What is your energy? Are you additive to the room? And, just simple things like that. Our energy comes from our thinking, and we carry it around with us, right? We have everything's energy, and we have this force field. Like, when somebody walks in a room and they suck all the energy out of the room, we've all experienced that, right? It's a real thing. So anyway, getting in touch with our own energy and our own, like, who we really are. And I don't think that if you're constantly running, I don't think that you can be mindful or even in touch with that part of yourself. I think that's very difficult.
Well, I couldn't until I left my career behind and gave myself the space to echo that sentiment. You need quiet. You need time. You need energy to be able to. It's like you're having a conversation with us right now. Like I'm communicating with you. In principle, it's the same thing with yourself. You need to be able to communicate with yourself in a similar dynamic, right? And having a conversation with yourself to say what's going on in there. And for me, the heart of Q, and I think that the heart of our species is curiosity. And so when I think about mindfulness, and you are listening to your thoughts, and you're trying, like, to me, it's always asking questions.
Yes.
Why is this happening? What could it be? Who, how. And just asking questions about the things that come up. And that's really the key to getting to the bottom of it. And the more curious you are, the more questions you're asking, and the more you're learning, the more you're growing. And it's certainly been my practice, and it's paid off very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very, very, very curious person, and I've always been that way. And so for me, it's very easy to meet strangers. It's very easy because I'm curious. Some people are not innately curious. And I think if you're not innately curious, you can practice being curious, because that is the way you connect with people. And so if you're just not curious, if you're not interested, you're not going to have the quality relationships, right, that you can have, because everybody wants to be known, right? You want to be seen, heard, and understood. We all have that innate need in us. And so to see someone, to listen to someone, and to, really take them in is a gift. I think a lot of us, we're not that way, right? We're not present with other people. So yeah, I'm all about the curiosity. I couldn't agree more.
And to your point there, that's again a big emphasis of Q is something you said before and something now, which is you kind of talked about what kind of energy you bring into a room, right? What you bring to a situation. Yeah. And for me, the way I look at it is, and the Q is very much focused on the individual, right? Mm-hmm. And helping individual people become the best version of themselves. Yes. And like, so the way I look at it isn't necessarily like, how do you affect a room? It's like you go in a room and be the best version of yourself consistently. And next time you'll be better and better and better. And to me, that's the target. It's like I go into situations all the time where I still say things or I do things that I'm like, oh, I don't know why I did that or I felt like that. But the next time I do it, I won't do because again, I'm paying attention. And so it's as much about the energy you bring in and also about the awareness of that impact that you have. And again, I really try and focus on the benefit to the individual of like, the more awareness you have about that, like the more opportunity you're going to have to connect with people, to build stronger relationships, and to grow just by proxy of those connections and that like opportunity that's presented.
Mm-hmm. That was a really good distinction. So when I talk about that, all the energy, everything comes from within. It's all coming from within. So the more at peace with ourselves we are, the more we're just going to radiate that, right? That's just part of who you are, and who you are is how you walk around in the world. But yes, absolutely. It's all about being the best version of yourself is when you can let go of all the things you should do or how you should be, but really who you are. When you tap into who you are, you're always authentic, right? You're always authentic. You're always going to be consistent. You don't have to worry about wearing a mask or doing anything that, you have to do, but that you're just innately authentic, and people feel that. People feel that. When you bring that, that gives them permission to be authentic, right?
I would add to that, like it's a way for people to understand it about themselves. Like there are moments in everyone's life where they feel in the flow. They're like just so much joy, right? And I guess the invitation is for people to notice those moments, because that's when you're most yourself, when you're really like living your best experiences, and like compare that to these other experiences and say, is this the best version? Because I don't think it is. Or how could it be? Or what could we to kind of discover ways to make it that?
Right. And a lot of times people don't really notice or ask themselves those questions, right? And, that's part of my job. But absolutely, if people could get more in touch with their joy, they would be on the right track. I'm sorry,
It's okay. Modern world.
Okay.
And also to add the curiosity piece and asking about people. Something that I think people don't understand is that when you are asking and learning about others, like you're learning about others, and what you learn from those people, from those experiences, can absolutely help you in your own life, and maybe in ways that you don't even realize. But just understanding other people, again, it just gives you this a grounding to go out into the world, and kind of the more you do it, the more confident you get in being able to talk to different people. And so I think that's one of the tragedies of the modern world, is that so many people are in their bubbles and they're not out there talking to new and different people, and it's so limiting in that way, and it just ruins any opportunity to build a mindfulness practice and really kind of explore yourself, because you need to explore the world in a way. Doesn't mean you need to go out and see the whole world, but you need to be out of your bubble.
And I'm a huge fan, whatever you're feeding your mind is what you're going to get, right? So if you're not learning, I think we all need to learn every day. I mean, truly, if you want to have an open mind and a fertile mind and just start being curious, as you have awareness of other things, right? Sometimes people simply aren't aware of other viewpoints or other resources, but just like they've never thought of something a certain way. And that's the human condition. You and I can look at the same thing, and you see one thing and I see another thing. It's your lens and my lens. And so, yes, there's a whole world of infinite, viewpoints and possibilities of everything. And so, yes, it enriches your life. And when you put all those ideas together, if you get a bunch of people who want to create something special, then that makes it all the richer, because they're bringing all those different perspectives together. So
that's a good point to finish on. We're at 30 minutes. Also to say that you're going to enjoy Qualia so much. I can tell you right now, I think you're going to really have a great time. So with the last few minutes, is if there's anything you want to share that you didn't get a chance to, now's a good time, or you can ask me a question, anything you want to do with the last couple of minutes.
I would ask you, how does somebody get involved in Qualia, and what's a step that I could take right now and that anybody listening could take?
To do what?
To get involved with
Q and with Qualia?
With Q.
Oh, well, so with Qualia, it's 1 week away next week, and there's like 2 or 3 tickets left. So
okay.
They would have to be pretty quick to snap those up. So it might be too late for most people.
Okay.
But for those attending, I can't say too much, as you know. But I think the key is that people turn up with their curiosity. If they turn up with their curiosity, they will have an incredible night. And I sincerely believe that this will change some people's lives in a great way. Others, it will do nothing for. But you'll understand more on the night. So I'm very excited about that. But Q in general, I mean, it's always just, kind of keeping up to date, following and sharing is always that's going to be the key here. Like this, my mission is global. I want to change the global consciousness. I want to help our species become not just more curious, but to develop the fundamental human skills that are just so valuable to everyone. But because of the way we live our lives today, so many people have diminished versions of those. And specifically, I'm thinking about effective communication and adaptability and creativity and collective problem solving. Like those things have been diminished greatly, and they will continue to be. And so for me, I'm just really focused on helping people develop those things through fun and novel experiences, and Qualia will be no exception.
Wonderful. I look forward to it.
Me too. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, David.